Hello again, and welcome back to Legally Cited. This is Jesse, aka BGFH, and I'm back for kind of another channel update, a few random topics video, and yeah. So before we go any further, if my voice sounds a little bit different, maybe a little bit, I don't know, raspy or whatever, my throat is a little bit weird. I went to a concert last night, and it was a lot of fun. I got to go see Disturbed and 3 Days Grace that came to town last night, and they were both actually really good. I had seen Disturbed, I think it was around 2005, right before their 10,000 Fists album came out, with a couple friends of mine, and that was really fun. And, I thought, I'd like to go again because I really liked their 2015 album, and I really wanted to see, I've talked about it on the channel before, I wanted to see the Sound of Silence, their version of it live, because I really do like that song. And I did get to see it. It was amazing. God, that guy can sing. I mean, he can yell and shout and do the Down with the Sickness, that kind of a thing. But he's also a really, really good singer. 3 Days Grace was actually really good. I think there was only one or two songs, or maybe two songs I didn't recognize. And I don't even listen to them all that much, but I'm like, oh yeah, I know this song. So I listened, they were good. Disturbed was good. They actually got some good crowd involvement. There's a couple times where they had people using their lighters or their cell phones, and they played The Light, which is kind of a cool. There's a lot of his whole theme that night was kind of like a theme of positivity, I mean, with everyone's all divided on politics, and there's shootings, and there's all people just acting crazy. It's like, be a family, be good to people, enough of the bullshit. It's just a really kind of refreshing thing. It's like, yeah, you can still rock, you can still headbang, you can still be crazy, but, don't be a prick. So yeah, that was really, really fun. There was a part where he read a letter that was from a couple of fans, and then later during the encore, he invited them up on stage for the song "The Light," which was good. It was funny when he read the letter to the crowd. One of the parts in the letter was saying something like, we were back on our way back from Wisconsin, and he paused, and the crowd was like, boo. And so Dave goes, "This has nothing to do with sports or football. Shut the fuck up." And then he just moved on. I thought that was pretty funny. I heard a few people laughing at that too. But yeah, Sound of Silence live. The show was really good. Yeah, it was a blast. But yeah, my throat is a little bit messed up this morning, but that's all right. We're good. So, channel update. If you are new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. Hopefully you subscribe. Hopefully you check out some videos and find some stuff that you like, some playlists that you like. Everything is actually organized on this channel by playlist. I have a lot of different types of videos. I have some low vision spotlight videos, which are covering like mainstream games, usually PC, because they're the easiest for me to record right now, so I cover a lot through Steam or Good Old Games. I have, like the low vision spotlights, the mainstream games. I have accessible games for both PC and iOS that I can record. I cover those. I do hardware reviews for various types of technology, lots of headphones, but other things too. I do some assistive technology spotlight videos. I just did one of those that I really fell in love with about a week ago, a little dark mode theme plugin for modern browsers. You see that up in the upper left-hand corner of my page here. So that's another cool one. A couple assistive technology videos lately. I do a few Let's Plays. In January, I did start up, as promised, my playthrough of the original Shenmue, as Shenmue 1 and 2 came out remastered for the PC last year. So we're working our way through that every Sunday until I finish Shenmue 1. Probably not going to do Shenmue 2. I have a spotlight video recorded for it, but I'm just not quite into some of the story or some of the gameplay stuff that's in Shenmue 2 quite as much. There's just some kind of charm or nostalgia that I have for the original Shenmue. So we're going to play through that every Sunday until we're done. But I do a few Let's Plays. I've started doing streaming on Mixer, mixer.com/BGFH, so I've done that as well. And I have a few Mixer archives, because they do go away eventually on Mixer. The recordings do go away after a couple of weeks, so then I archive them here under the illegally cited Mixer playlist. I cover VR accessibility. I'm pretty sure not too many low vision or blind users have really talked much about virtual reality or augmented reality or things like that, mixed reality. So I have an Oculus Rift, and I cover VR games, VR experiences, because not everything VR is games, but there's some pretty rad stuff on VR. Like I just recorded, haven't unlocked it for you guys yet, but I just recorded a couple of really cool kind of educational experiences. There's even a playlist for educational VR because, again, I think VR has a lot of potential and a lot of things going for it as far as an educational tool, an interactive learning tool. So, and then I have a separate playlist on VR accessibility where I kind of each video takes a look at an aspect of VR, like movement or locomotion, head tracking, third person in VR. There's another one actually that I would kind of like to record and have out before March, before I head down to San Francisco, which I'll talk more about in a minute. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Mainstream, accessible games, hardware, VR, assistive technology, all kinds of stuff. Accessible apps. Just go under the playlist thing, and I'm sure you'll find something there that you like. So hopefully, hopefully you find something that you like and subscribe to the channel. I'm guessing I probably got quite a few subscribers over the last couple of weeks through a series of tweets and conversations that I had about an upcoming project that I'm doing in March. I am going to be a panel member. I'm going to be a speaker at the 3rd annual GA Conf, or Game Accessibility Conference, in San Francisco in March, and our panel is going to be on game accessibility for blind and low vision users. So that should be a really fun one. And I'm looking forward to being on the panel, but I'm also just really looking forward to meeting a lot of people that I've been talking to or that I've been following on Twitter and other types of social media. And I'm really looking forward to maybe chatting with some game developers, people at Microsoft. I know they're going to be there. I'm hoping to maybe make some connections in the VR community, some VR developers, and maybe we can really start to try to kick off some of this VR accessibility stuff that I've been really trying to advocate for the past couple of years now. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with that, and I believe that is on, March 18th? So definitely check out that. I don't know if it's going to be streamed. I've heard some rumors that they're going to try to make it happen, but I won't guarantee anything. But nevertheless, once I get back, I will definitely, I'm sure I'll have to record a video and let you guys know how that went. But yeah, my Twitter feed just exploded like a week ago after a few mentions and official confirmation that I was going to be on the panel. So got a lot more Twitter followers, got some more YouTube followers, and that's fantastic. Thank you to everybody. And yeah. And to all the people that have been subscribers for a while, thanks for sticking around. We are actually, as I'm recording this, 4 subscribers away from hitting 1,400, which is actually pretty amazing because I think around the first of the year, I think we were just about to hit 1,300. So if we've gained about 100 subscribers in a month, that's pretty incredible, actually. I mean, I'm still small potatoes as far as channels go, but you know what? We're still going pretty strong here. Speaking of YouTube, I did want to comment on one other YouTube thing. I got an email the other day, And I saw somebody else mention it on Twitter, saying how Google was stopping Google Plus, this social media service that was supposed to be this big competitor to Facebook, but kind of failed miserably. And believe me, for a while there, they were doing everything that they could to really push Google Plus, but people just weren't buying it, actually. But the question was, is my YouTube stuff going to be safe? Is when the Google Plus goes away, is that going to affect, or am I going to lose my videos? I don't know the answer to that, and I was wondering the very same thing when I read that email. I was kind of looking through and seeing if they mentioned YouTube specifically. I'm going to hopefully try to do a little bit more research too, but if anyone knows either way, let me know. Please let me know. But the way I understand it is, I think YouTube, especially now, is more of its own thing. So, if you upload a video to your channel, that's through YouTube. Now, I know you could link, and they almost forced you to link your YouTube account to your Google Plus account, which I actually did a video on several years ago. About how I was annoyed and how to get it back at the time. So back in the day, what happened was I would be uploading videos on my YouTube account. But in order to comment on a video, in order to comment, your account had to be connected to Google Plus for a time. So I know I've gotten a few complaints a while back about, well, why doesn't he ever comment on, people leave comments or questions in the comments in the videos. Why doesn't he ever reply? Well, at the time, I was using a piece of software that didn't seem to be compatible. If I just had the YouTube account, I could upload my videos through that software. But if I linked my YouTube account to it, then it would just break and it wouldn't work and it was just a mess. So I kind of had to choose between, okay, do I upload the videos a lot faster through this program because it just worked really well at the time, or do I, leave comments on and then have to find out a slower way to do it? Because at the time, uploading through the website, for whatever reason for me, just seemed really, really, really slow compared to the way I was doing it before. So that's why I really didn't comment on, I read the comments, but I really didn't comment much, if at all, early on. So for a while, they would let you unlink, if you were linked up, if you did it in a certain amount of time, you could unlink your YouTube account from your Google Plus account. And I would do that. If I really, really wanted to leave a comment, I would link it, do the comment, and then unlink it again, just so I could be able to upload. So there was a time too where I remember I went through this scare because in doing all of this weird, Google's account management stuff is a mess. And you have the Google account, you have the YouTube account, you have you have all these different things that are sort of supposed to be unified, but I'm not sure how much they are. And I had my YouTube account, and it was with Google Plus, and then I tried to disconnect it from something, or I tried to switch how it was associated, and I was really, really scared too, because I had two of these, there was two illegally cited things or something, and I ended up deleting the one, but they didn't have any support, and you couldn't contact Google and actually talk to a real person. I remember even posting on Twitter, I'm like, well, I'm going to do this thing, I hope my channel doesn't completely disappear. And I did read through it well enough where I did actually, get rid of one of my problem alternate accounts, and it didn't fry my channel, thank God. But yeah, it's a mess. I hope to God I don't lose any video content. That would annoy me, but that's where we are with that. So Google Plus is going away. I wish they would have something more about what is tied to your YouTube account. So if anybody does know definitively, if anything, what we're supposed to do about that, to make sure that we don't lose any YouTube videos, or if we're just in general safe, do let me know in the comments, because I'm not entirely clear myself. So that's kind of a channel update. There's a lot of different things that are going to be coming. I've got a few Mixer archives. We're going to continue our Shenmue thing. There's Gold Gun, which is an accessible game that came out on the iOS store just yesterday, I believe. It was supposed to come out on the 31st, but Apple was being dumb and rejecting it for a stupid reason. But they got it out. I have it on my phone, and I'm going to do a video for it. I just, with being at the concert last night, I just haven't had time. So I would say probably expect that in the next week or so, probably the next couple of days. Like I said, Mixer archives. I got some game videos, probably a couple of other accessible games as well. There's been between Dusk and this other first-person shooter, Project Warlock, that I've been really hooked on for about the last week or so. There's been some really great classic-style first-person shooter games. And I'm all about that. The Doom, Quake, Heretic, Hexen, Blood, all those types of things. Yeah, Project Warlock there's definitely something there to that game. I've been wanting to play that more again already today, and I probably will. So, and I probably will do a Mixer stream. I've been trying to do a Mixer stream on the weekend if I can. I even did one during the week this past week, because I really had to play some more Project Warlock, because I was just like, I gotta play this. But yeah, so like I said, and the channel's not going to be slowing down. There'll still be a lot of stuff coming out, and a lot to look forward to. A couple other topics I did just want to touch on, not related to the channel, but blindness and general things, just I can chat about here. There's been a couple things going around social media. One of which, I've seen posts about it on Twitter. I don't follow Facebook, so whatever. But apparently it's almost become like this meme at this point, but like, apparently this photo on Facebook caught on, and people are really just being mean to this person about, like, there's a picture of a person with a cane, and they're trying to use their cell phone, and people are saying, well, if you're blind, you can't be how are you using a cell phone? And it's just, I haven't read the comments, but I've just heard in passing that there's just a lot of awful behavior, a lot of people just being stupid about it. And, it is stupid. It's like, you're just pretending to be blind because you're using a cane and you're still using your cell phone. Believe me, when the iPhone and even Windows Mobile back in the day, I didn't think touchscreens were going to be accessible. I'm like, oh, good Lord, there's another technology that we're going to be left behind in. I do have... one of these days, I should charge up my Touch Pro 2, turn that thing on, and hold my eye, like, show you guys. I wonder if I would even remember how to navigate that touchscreen, because you didn't navigate it like the way you do Android or iOS. You use this quadrant system. Like I said, in its time, it was genius the way they figured out how to make it work. But they basically did this quadrant system of, you would have 4 quadrants on the screen, and then you would tap one, or you would tap one and then the other, or you would double tap one and do something. It was weird, but it worked. It worked really well. I used Windows Mobile for several years. Started out on the HTC 6700, went to the 6800, and then I went to the Touch Pro 2. Yeah, I had 3 generations of phones in Windows Mobile. But yeah, now that we're in... And then Apple came along and said, oh, wait, this is how you can do a touchscreen for real and make it accessible. And it's just never been the same. Android is pretty similar. They do their own thing a little bit, but it's, that's essentially very similar in the touch gestures. So yeah, I couldn't even imagine going back to like the way that Mobile Speak did it. on Windows Mobile. But I mean, people. I mean, I was having a interesting conversation in my Lyft ride home last night. My Lyft driver was she actually worked for not the blind services VR agency, but the general VR agency apparently. And we were just talking about how a lot of the problem isn't necessarily with the person with the disability. It's the perception of everybody else, be it an employer or just somebody on the street. Like, and I've said this before, you're either perceived as having superpowers like Daredevil, or you are incompetent and helpless. It's either end of the spectrum, but you can't really be anything in between to a lot of people, it would seem. And that's where this whole Facebook "you're faking it" thing kind of comes from. And I don't know. It's just amazing. I mean, I think I mentioned it on another channel update video recently. I mean, I had someone that was working in our apartment office. I mean, nice enough person. I get along with them. But even she said, she's like, do you, I was picking up some mail, and she's like, oh, do you work, or where do you work? I'm like, oh yeah, I work, and blah blah blah. And she's like, oh, okay. I mean, she just seemed like she was really didn't know that someone, who was blind or visually impaired could, not only work, but, live on their own and, God forbid, use a computer and, do that. I'm like, yeah, not only do I work, it's not just some charitable job where, oh, here's a little made up job that you work 2 to 4 hours a week just to make the blind people feel better about themselves. No, I do a full-time job. And it's what I do. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to touch on that because it still amazes me that, I mean, like I said, I mean, rather than just spewing hate, I mean, God forbid, go do a second of research, or, talk to a blind person. I mean, a lot of people don't even have contact with blind people, or if they see blind people, they actually actively avoid them. It's like, oh no, I'm going to catch blindness. I don't know. It's just one of those things that just still kind of baffles me. But I just want to mention that. And then the other interesting conversation that I've been seeing on Twitter is a little controversial. I didn't really want to talk about it, but I kind of do want to at least say something a little bit about it. There was this whole conversation that I saw a lot of people chiming in about people like getting a job versus Social Security. Like, oh, well, I'm on Social Security and I can't afford, to live, and I can't afford to do this other thing. Social Security or SSI, the benefits are a great thing. It is there, and it can be very useful for people. And there are people for where, that's exactly what it should be for. I mean, I did receive SSI for a little while, and I got off of it as quickly as possible. I wanted to work. I wanted to be a productive member of society. I mean, you can't live off of, SSDI is one thing, but SSI, you can't live independently on what you can, on what you get on an SSI check. You can't. I couldn't even pay my rent with what you would get with an SSI check. I don't even remember what it is now, like seven something. That wouldn't even cover my rent. But SSI is not generally for somebody who just has, who has a disability but is capable of working. There are people who, and this is a sign, I would see in the conversation, I would see people who said, yes, I have severe disabilities where my medical expenses are through the roof. I need, daily care, or I need this medication, or I need some sort of device that costs a lot of money. And if I don't have that, I will die. If somebody needs like a respirator, if somebody needs some medication, if somebody needs some tool, and literally, if they don't have that, they will die. That's exactly what those, those benefits are for. Absolutely. But to me, if you're only disability is, let's say, blindness, if your only disability is, oh, my eyes don't work or they don't work right, but the rest of you is fully abled, no, services like SSI or assisted living housing, I mean, I don't need Section 8 housing. I live in an irregular apartment. Those are for the people who actually really need those services, or maybe you need them temporarily. But my biggest thing, like, I see a lot of people that get on these services and then they kind of think of it as, oh, well, now that I'm on them, why work? Or I can do as little as possible and I can kind of eke my way by. And then they never really get out. And part of me kind of blames the system, because I wish there was more of an incentive in place, not just an incentive, but like assistance in this, make it about rehabilitation. Okay, when I graduated college and I could not find a job, I was applying constantly. I was doing mock interviews to make sure that my interviewing skills were on par, that were good enough. I was trying to improve my resume, improve everything that I was doing. So it wasn't for lack of effort, but I was unemployed for 3.5 years. And during that time, I lived with roommates so I could cut down on my rent. I got SSI. I got, a little bit of other assistance, and I still had to live somewhere where I could easily get to interviews and, get to places. So, that is what it was for. But when I got off of it, I got a steady full-time job. I'm like, okay, go away, and it feels good to do that. Like I said, I'm self-reliant. I can support myself. But I mean, just dealing with that whole system is a nightmare in itself. You got to report constantly, and then they screw up and underpay you, overpay you. I mean, that was in the conversation too. Like, oh, they didn't take this money away, and then they claimed that I owed them $5,000. Been there, done that. Filed the appeal twice or more. Been there, done that. And so, it's like, why wouldn't people want to get off of that system? I mean, like I said, if you have multiple disabilities, or like you maybe, there's just something where you physically can't, hold down a full-time job where you might be able to support yourself. I get that. There are those cases, and that's absolutely fine. But, if you're just blind, or if you're just deaf, or if you have one thing that really isn't that debilitating, contrary to what popular society would have you believe. I mean, blindness is not that big a deal, really. Can it be annoying sometimes? Sure. It can be a pain in the ass sometimes. But if you're otherwise fully abled, don't just sit on your butt and collect a government. Like, it might be scary. I've done a lot of scary things. I've moved halfway across the country twice where I didn't know anybody. I've gone to conferences on my own with nobody with me. I've done presentations. I started a YouTube channel because, I don't know, why not? Somebody said I should, and I'm like, okay, I'll try it. And I just tried these things, and you do one or two of them, and the more you get into doing, more to trying things like that, you find it not to be so bad. And I know it can be, like I said, finding a job. Trust me, I know it can be a real pain to find a job as a blind person, let's say, because you got to work. You have, and that's the other thing. I tell people that you have to work twice as hard, if not more, just to come off at the same level as everybody else, because you have that, like I said, you have that, going back to that Facebook thing, or going back to the job stuff, like people and employers, they, you have to prove to them that you're just as equal as they are, because it is a sighted world. And, but once you do that, you treat your job search as a full-time job. You commit to saying, okay, what is it that I want to do? Let's go for it. If I fail, I fail, but we got to try something. But once you do, like I said, it's great. I mean, I'm financially independent. I go to work every day. I do this stuff on the side. I've got the little advocating thing for game accessibility thing. That is starting to take off. Going to GA-Conf next month. Heck yeah. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I get both sides of the whole SSI thing. And like I said, it's there for people who really need it. I totally get the people who, like I said, they need it because, if I don't get this thing, or if I don't, I will die without it. I totally understand that. But if it's just a thing of, well, this is just easier, and I'm blind, and I'm entitled. I'm owed this. No, you're not. No, you're not. I'm sorry. But I know that part of the video is probably going to be a little bit controversial. But we're going to be honest. We're going to be throwing it out there. That's kind of what it is. That's kind of the way I feel, I guess. But and just to wrap up on a little more positive note, I was going to mention this earlier and I kind of forgot because I got babbling about something else. I don't think it's out just yet, but as I said before, I will have a couple of podcast episodes coming out here in the near future. One was going to be put out, I think, the other day, but that Gold Gun game got delayed, but now the podcast should come out here shortly. Follow Blind Abilities, the Blind Abilities podcast, and there's an interview with the game developers and myself where we kind of talk about the game, we talk about game accessibility in general, we talk about all kinds of fun, geeky entertainment and gaming and accessibility stuff. That was a really fun podcast interview that we recorded a week or two ago. And then I actually will be having another Blind Abilities podcast, kind of an interview, and I don't know when that's going to come out, but that should probably be in the fairly near future. So again, follow me on Twitter at BGFH79. I'll let you know when those also appear. But yeah, I do have a couple of podcast episodes coming out. I find myself being invited to a few more podcasts, and that's totally fine. I actually find myself enjoying it more than I thought I would. Just like the YouTube stuff. So, again, I've gotten a lot of new subscribers. If you do run a tech podcast, if you do run a gaming podcast or something like that, or a blindness podcast, and you do want to do, you might want to, or if you want to connect and maybe do a podcast episode with me, let me know, and we'll see what we can work out. I'm up for that. And here's the other thing, it doesn't just have to be about accessibility. We can touch on that, but if you're a gaming podcast and you just want to talk about video games, you look at the channel. I've covered hundreds of mainstream video games. I follow the mainstream game industry. I follow the releases. I follow mainstream video games and topics and all the craziness that's going on. Look at the stuff with Gearbox. I'm not even going to get into that nonsense. The Gearbox stuff, or the train wreck that is the Anthem beta, or the 700,000 ways that you can launch, or that you can play the game early or not play the game early, or just all kinds of weird stuff. The Kingdom Hearts birth by 1/2 sleep times 10 power of whatever the hell they're naming their games now. The Kingdom Hearts games are just inscrutable to me. They looked interesting at first, but I can't comprehend. Like, their naming conventions are so weird, and the plot is just so... I don't know. The Kingdom Hearts plot is just incomprehensible to me at this point, and I'm just like, that's such a series I'm not going to play. But anyway, yeah, so, I do a lot of mainstream gaming stuff as well. So if you're interested, just, send me a DM on Twitter, or let me know through the comments or something. And, like I said, maybe we'll connect and see what we can do for a podcast, or even a YouTube guest spot or something. But let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79, mixer.com/BGFH. And until next time, I will talk to you guys again later.